Make sure everybody has their microphones on too so that everybody can hear loud and clear. Just push the button if you don't know how to do it. Okay. Any items added or deleted? If not, then I take that everything on the agenda is fine. Any presentations tonight? We don't have any. And before we get to public comment, I just want to make a couple, or share a couple thoughts with you. Hopefully everybody had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. So this is our new year. A couple items I'd like to just mention to you. We've had a couple losses in our township. I know most of you. One is Jim Fulkerson and also Al Borowski, which have been public servants in our town for many years. I don't know if most of you have known them, but we've lost I feel some really wonderful people in our town, and I don't know if most of you know the families, but if you do, if you send a card or a call or a prayer for their families. I know Barb Fulkerson is losing her son with cancer, and it's quite a hardship for them. Also during the holidays, I'm sure most of you by the news heard of three of Salem Township residents that lost their lives on 8 Mile Road, and we need to lift them up tonight and remember them families. And I just would like to say a quick thanks to our fire department. If you can imagine them guys on the scene on Christmas Day, what tragic it must have been for them, but also for these families who were going to holiday parties and then finding out that 3 of their members were lost. My wife and I did attend the funeral homes and visiting them. They have had wonderful praises to our fire teams. They've asked, some of our firefighters were also pallbearers during the funeral, which was just a great community. I would like to see our township and because we all are one family, we are a town, and to see this happen, I just think is great for our town, our firefighters. But I would ask all of us to remember these families in your thoughts and your prayers. And then as far as this, again, I want to thank each of you for your support, your many emails and support of the new board, and just thank you for your comments and emails, and just hopefully as we move forward in the new year, that this would be a year for great things for Salem Township. Okay, now we're on to public comment. All right, Marcia, I don't think we have a microphone set up here, so I apologize for that.
I'll try to speak.
Okay.
My name is Marcia Van Fossen. I am the Vice President of the Salem Area Historic Society, and I would like to invite board members and members of the public to attend the public hearing that is going to be held this Thursday night at 7 p.m. at the Jarvis Stone School. And this is concerning the process that the county uses to help us earn our historic designation status. I think there was an article in the South Lyon Herald on that, so we're really kind of proud of that. In addition, on behalf of the Salem Area Historic Society, I want to invite all of the board and members of the public to the annual dinner gala auction that will be here on take place on February 9th at 6 p.m. at Fox Hills. You don't need to be a member of the society to come. They charge you a little bit more, but we'd like to have you all come. And if you need to get tickets, Terry Swig, any member of the Historic Society can take your name and get a number or get someone to contact you. And I do happen to have tickets here tonight if anybody's interested after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Linda?
I hope that when we get to item 7C1, that the board will explain why we already need a $100,000 increase for legal fees. Thank you.
Okay.
On another note, I noticed on disbursements that there is a check made out to Marshall and Dawson to pay me for $200 for something. As far as I know, I've not put an invoice in. I don't know what it's about. And Dell, I did email you to ask if you could answer that, because everyone else questions it, I do. So if I could get an answer, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to move that we recess for 8 to 10 minutes.
All right.
Second?
All those in agreement?
Aye.
All right. Give about a 5 to 8 minute short recess. Document had to sign from past meetings, so just got that taken care of. Thanks for your patience. Okay, over to Mr. Wensley for the consent agenda.
I move that Salem Township approve the following consent agenda items. Need a second?
No, second.
The consent agenda consists of the minutes of December 11th, 2012, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. B, the minutes of the closed session, December 11th, 2012, of the regular meeting. Letter C, disbursements for December 2012. The general fund of $110,508.28. And we also cut these new checks, $23,592, and the list follows through $23,672. December check register, or roster, $168,110.05. These are checks $23,592 through $23,672. It also includes payroll for November 2012 of $57,609.64. And it has Paycor's electronic funds transfer amount of $173. It also includes the sewer fund of $6,108.85. These are checks 1879 through 1881. And finally, the disbursements for January 2013. These are invoices out of the general fund for $39,483.27.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could interject and just clarify that under payroll, that would be for the month of December and not November, as is listed in the motion.
Under December?
Yeah.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could ask if we pass on the minutes of the closed session, I'd like a chance to review those, because that was about a 2.5-hour closed session involving pending litigation. I'd like to make sure those are accurate.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, to that end, I'll move that we pull item B from the consent agenda and make it business item 7D. 7D1, minutes of the closed session. And we'll need a second on that as well to pull it.
I'll second that.
And Mr. Supervisor, the $200 check that was noted by Mrs. Van Fossen during public comment has been reviewed with her.
Okay. I make the motion that has been put before us to approve the consent agenda on January the 8th, 2013. Removing item B on the consent agenda. And the change to the, from November to December for 2012. Let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay, to business items. Under public safety, fire chief.
Could I suggest, Mr. Supervisor, that the deputy go first so that
Okay.
he gets a call and he's
All right,
not
Mr.
interrupted?
Gorney, thanks for coming. Most of you know John, our deputy. Thanks for being here tonight.
Hello, hi, welcome to new board members. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Thanks for everybody's support for putting another deputy on the docket there. He'll be a good guy. He's actually a pretty good friend of mine. And basically what I was here for tonight, just to explain his schedule as well as mine. I work basically a 4 to 12 schedule, 5 days a week. My off days are Thursdays and Fridays. The second deputy will be working days on Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. So you'll have 16 hours of coverage on those days. And then on the days that I am not here on Thursdays and Fridays, he's going to work afternoons, Thursdays and Fridays, from 4 to 12. So you'll always have somebody working the afternoon shift throughout the whole week. And then on the days that we're both working, he'll be working days, I'll be working afternoons, if that makes sense. So, like I said, I appreciate all the support. We're looking forward to doing a good job for you. And it's been great so far. And we really haven't, other than bad traffic crashes, everything else has been status quo. We've had a handful of people stealing out of cars. So just remember, keep your cars locked. Don't keep any valuable items in your cars, stuff like that. And that's been the major little rumbling lately, but everything else has been pretty good. Anybody have any questions?
Wasn't there a couple break-ins on 7 and Angle? That was the rumor floating around.
Salem Fire.
I'm not aware of any. There could have been, but if it doesn't happen, if it hadn't happened on my shift, I
Okay, yeah, thank you.
yeah. So now with the second deputy, we'll transfer the information a little better.
Deputy, when Matt started, when did he start?
Last Sunday.
Last Sunday, okay.
Right. And his leave days, he's off on Monday and Tuesdays.
Okay.
So and then actually he'll be in training tomorrow, so he'll be back in on Thursday.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
I just wanted to find out, what's Deputy Matt's last name?
Risha. It's R-I-S-H-A.
Thank you.
Matt Risha. He's been with the department about 14 to 15 years. Now I've been here, and I was just going into 13, 14 years. So he's a veteran, and he'll be very good. He'll be a good fit.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very
All
much
right,
for
thanks,
your
John.
time.
All right.
Jim.
I've put together some reports for the board members. You should have a couple papers in front of you. As Supervisor said, this has been an unusually busy holiday season. I can't remember being on the department to have as many calls as that we had over the holiday period. Matter of fact, on Christmas Day, we had 5 calls, with 3 of those being motor vehicle accidents, 1 that triple fatality, 7 hours, and then 2 medicals. That was Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, we had another 2 crashes and another 2 medicals. And on New Year's Day, we had 2 medicals. So over the 3 holiday period, we had over 11 requests for responses within the township, when we typically get maybe 1 out of the whole year. To show you kind of a comparison, in 2011, we had about 390 requests for calls and responses. This year we had 452, so we're up 60 calls. And a lot of them had kind of come at the end of the year, November, December. You know, this is probably the first time in a long time we've had a white Christmas too. And a lot of the accidents, motor vehicle accidents, were probably related to the fact that we had snow and more travelers in the area. If you notice, there was probably a lot of people from out of town, and it showed in our ground responses. So our call volume was up this year considerably, and the holidays were really busy for us. So that being said, kind of glad that passed us, and hopefully we don't have one of those in the near future. I provided to the board, and I apologize, these are color copies, so I couldn't really make a copy for everybody. But the question is, we moved the vehicles from park out here at the station to deployed in the field, and has that made a difference? So what I did is I reviewed the data that's provided to us by our dispatchers, which is Huron Valley Ambulance is our central dispatch. They're central dispatch for a number of the fire departments, not just us. And the front sheet that you have in front of you is kind of a summary of what they track. And the way this works is if you are in need of assistance, you dial your phone and you call 911. That goes to a central dispatch, which is called a PSAP. That time is tracked. That is, the stopwatch starts then. They time from the time it takes them to process your call, because they have to find out your address, nature, or emergency. After they figure out what's needed, whether it's police or fire or medical, they dispatch us. That's when our clock starts. The time that we get paged or a tone goes, somebody needs assistance. From that time to when our first apparatus or first fire vehicle is said, we're responding. Now, sometimes it's pretty easy, it's pretty quick, it's during the day. Sometimes it's not. It's in the middle of the night. You got to get dressed. You got to put your glasses on. You have to figure out where your keys are. You have to make it down to your stairs, out to your car, get your car started, call on the radio, you're on the air. So on the average, I looked at those numbers, and in a second I'll tell you what the numbers showed up. Another thing that HVA tracks is not only when we went on the air, but the time that we actually arrived at the person's house. So there's a drive time. So obviously, if you're closer to the station, the drive time is shorter. If you're out there in Northfield Crossing, the drive time is going to be longer. Then they track how long we're at the scene. Obviously, a medical is going to be a lot shorter than a structure fire. And then finally, the total time that the response encompassed. From the time that the 911 call was given to the time that we depart the scene. All that is tracked, and all that we can go back a number of years and see trends and anything that you want. It's a statistics dream with the numbers that they can pull with it. So that being said, the next page that I provided was a summary of the 2012 average, what we call responding with fire apparatus. So that would be the time our pager went off and the time that the first truck called on the air. So the average for 2012 was 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So over the time of the day, averagely, when there was a call, get a firefighter on the road, 4 minutes and 34 seconds. Now that we've changed December 1st, first month went down to 2 minutes and 58 seconds to have a firefighter on the road. The next page are statistics that are provided by HVA on our monthly fire activity reports. So if you look at the last 2 months, which is November and December, I've said that typically our calls are up. In the month of November, we had 26 requests for services. We're typically about 390, so it's about a little less than 1 call a day. If you work out typically the last couple of years. So 26 is up a little bit high. And you look at December, we had 35 requests for calls. So we're definitely up in December and slightly up in November. But if I draw your attention to the last statement on the bottom of the HVA report, and if you look at the average, what they call the average response time, and it's called the dispatched on scene. So that's the time that they get the call till we arrive on first helping out the patient or the structure fire. For November, it was 7 minutes and 18 seconds. For December, again, when we moved the vehicles into the field where the firefighters can deploy, went to 5 minutes and 32 seconds. So it's almost around 2 minutes drop in response time. And that's significant, and that's where we want to be. We want to try to get as quick as we can. That is as good or better than a department that actually has staff firefighters sleeping in the quarters. And the reason that's good is because we've got these vehicles dispersed throughout the township. So if we just had one central fire station like we did now, and we were dispatched, a lot of our calls are to the Northville trailer crossing. That's a long drive time, but we've got folks with vehicles out there on the west side that get in the vehicles and are already halfway to that location. So again, that cuts down drive time, cuts down our time, at least putting a firefighter in and where it's needed. So these are the numbers that we've seen for, it's a very short trend, 1 month, but it does show you clearly that we've knocked some time off by deploying these small vehicles into the field. Is there any questions, or anybody have any issues with that? The last thing I wanted to cover is Nixle. We're in the process of getting Nixle up and running, getting it up on the website. That's our challenge right now, is we're trying to get into the website and get a link on there. It's already available on the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office page. So if you're interested in it, please log in. It'll tell you what areas that are you interested in. You can download Washtenaw County. It includes Salem County or Salem Township, and it'll also pick up if you want Salem Township Fire Department. And we will, on occasion, give out alerts. We did one for the near abduction or potential abduction, and we did one for the road closure on 8 Mile. It's a pretty cool app if you've got a smartphone. It will also go with you and travel into communities, so it'll alert you as you drive through across the country that there's a roadblock or a major accident or something. It'll actually alert you as you drive through those areas. It comes at the right price. It's free. It's done by the government, so you know you're not going to get advertisements and hacks and stuff like that. But in the future, we're going to try to get it more robust, and you can do other things than just fire and police alerts. You can put community events out there, and people can sign up to what they'd like to have and not have. So it's kind of all user-driven. You sign up, you get what you want. You don't get the extra stuff that you don't want. So I like to kind of just once a month kind of give the board a report, where we're at in the fire department, give you the monthly, how we're doing as far as run calls, and still have a number of folks in school right now, and they're coming. Hopefully they'll be able, in 2 or 3 months we'll have all of our folks done with the schooling, at least as the mandated schools. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
NIX. Yeah, good. Nixle's NIXLE.
And if you need any technical support with your iPhones or anything, Jim can help you. I appreciate it. I got one this year, so I'm getting up with it. Right. Don't call me, right? Thanks, Jim. And we do appreciate your service, and
The guys did tremendous.
Great job, and we just know that this board is behind you.
I appreciate. The other thing we forget is that we're out there for the holidays, and it's the families that are really impacted by our guys and gals, because we have gals out there, and it's tragic. It's tragic all the way around. But so I want to thank our fellow firefighters for really giving up their holidays. They're the ones that really stepped up to the plate on this.
Jim set up my phone to get the calls on there, so we get alerted, and I've been on some of the calls with them, and our guys are doing a great job, and we appreciate that. Also in the audience, we have our state trooper here. Any comments from you, sir, or any?
Just real briefly, I'm Trooper Robinson, Michigan State Police out of Brighton. My captain of the 1st District, the guy that's kind of our head honcho, we wish to express his gratitude for allowing us to use your facility, allowing to work out of here. The fellows that I've spoken to that work out of Salem seem to enjoy the area, enjoy the folks, real down-home community. And at this point, our numbers are low, but as you know, we're running recruit schools, we're trying to build those numbers up. We just got 4 new kids out of the last recruit school. Hopefully we'll get them on the road working by themselves here before long. We're slated to get another 4, so as recruit schools go through, the more people we're going to have, hopefully we'll be able to put more troopers out in the field to answer calls and help you out here. So we're kind of on a skeleton crew, but like I said, as time goes, you know, I've been in for almost 24 years, and this is about the lowest it's been in that time. So hopefully we'll get the numbers up and get more troops out there to help you out. So, okay, thank you.
I have a question. Sir, I was just wondering, in light of, you know, all the school shootings and all that kind of stuff, are there regular, you know, drive-bys from, you know, your team?
It
for the
depends,
elementary
it
school?
depends on what, I don't work out of the detachment here, so I can't really say. I know that our guys go outside of Salem Township from work too, and take calls. So to say that they routinely drive through, that's a question I'd have to put a post to my post commander to see if that's something that they're doing. I would hope so. I know where I live by Argentine Township, they just installed the doors that lock. They have to buzz you in, they have camera systems in that. I mean, it was such a horrific event out there in Connecticut. You know, I don't know if that's the option, you know, that's an option maybe you folks can look at. I know everything comes down to money and stuff like that. I know some schools have school liaison officers, sheriff department, and some of our folks up at the post do work in and out of schools, community service officers and stuff like that. So we do have personnel, you know, in and out of the schools, but is someone there the entire time the school's open? Generally not. I wish it could be, and I'd like to have been there that day, you know, but I can check into that though, and we can get back with you, sure.
Yeah, if there was anything that, you know, we could do as a township to, you know, facilitate getting just better coverage. You
Right.
know, you just never know.
No, I totally understand. I have two children, one 9 and one 14, and, you know, I'm stressed out by sending them to school. I'm happy and relieved that they put in those buzzer doors, because before you could just walk right into the school and, you know, do whatever. You know, anybody could walk in. Now you actually have to buzz in, and they can see you on the camera. If nothing else, it'll help delay, God forbid it ever happens, it'll help delay the bad guy from getting in, so we get into like a lockdown mode and get people there quickly. But like I said, that's something I can check into and see what their plan is as far as that. I know that our colonel is real dedicated to the community service model. It's something that we're kind of new to over the years. I worked as a resident trooper up in Alpena, worked in the community itself, and it worked out great. It was fantastic. It was a great model. I'm totally supportive of what she's doing. She's basically the one that developed it, and she's really gung-ho as far as getting troops out in the community, you know, working, you know, maybe out of township halls or whatever, to have detachments all around instead of having these big posts that, you know, kind of like are, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say insensitive or cold, but, you know, at least you get the people in, you know, you get to know them, and at least up there, they knew me on a first-name basis. I was at the restaurants, and it's a good deal, so. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know.
Thank you, sir, for being here tonight. Okay, moving on down to administrative, board of review appointments. I move that Salem Township approve the following appointments to the Salem Township Board of Review for 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2013 and ending December 31st of 2014. Frank D'Agostini, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Frank's a good guy, he's been on. Patrick Curley. And then for the alternates, we have Daniel Vergari and Diane Dakalakis. Second on that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. The next is the motion to approve for the zoning board of appeal appointments. I move that Salem Township approve the following appointments to the Salem Township Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2013 and ending December 31st of 2015. John Daniel, being our Board of Trustees representative, and Linda Reiskamp. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Mr. Trent.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I move that Salem Township approve the following amendment to sections 6.2 and 6.3 of the Salem Township Employee Policies and Procedures Manual, clarifying spousal coverage for health and dental care and employer-employee contribution levels. And we are inserting sentence number 2 as shown in italics in the first paragraph of each respective section as attached in your board package. That sentence essentially reads, when the spouse of an employee is not eligible for health care benefits through his or her employer, Salem Township will provide health care benefits to the spouse at an 80-20 split effective March 1st, 2012.
I'll second that.
Dave, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may, but go ahead.
Is this retroactive 2012 or is it 2013?
No, it's 2012.
So
And that's
yeah.
part of, as we were updating the policy and making it one clean sheet, because as part of the board package, we shared with you the information that was contained in last month's board package. And as we were having Kim update that for the records, we discovered in looking up something else that the board about a year ago had adopted a policy for spousal coverage. And when we reviewed it with the lawyer last month, that particular piece of information was left out of his draft to us. And the only place that information is referenced is in the new Appendix 1, where it talks about 80-20, and that split always remains in effect regardless of seniority. And so we just wanted to insert this into the policy itself to help clarify what the board adopted last month.
Just want to make sure it was retroactive.
Any other questions?
Ask them.
Okay then, all those in favor of approving the amendment to sections 6.2 and 6.3 of the Salem Township Employee Policy and Procedure Manual, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
That payroll goes up now, and then.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to move that Salem Township approve the following cost center budget amendments for fiscal year 2012-13. Under cost center 210 legal services, revising the budget from $200,000 to $300,000, and also making a minor adjustment under Township Hall for salaries for the building maintenance person to increase the budget to $8,000 from $6,000, and decreasing the temporary salaries line item from $4,000 to $2,000 to cover that particular revision. And funding for this amendment will occur through contingency or reserves.
Do we have a second on that?
I'll second
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. And Mr. Supervisor, if I could just elaborate on the need for the budget amendment. As you can probably see as a reference in your revenue expenditure report, cost center 210 legal services is currently at $186,953 and some change of expenditures. With the legal bills that were approved earlier this evening, that total is now $200,000, so technically we would not be in a position to approve legal bills after tonight. But going forward for the rest of the fiscal year, Mr. Plato is in the process of providing some updated invoices. We have received invoices from him through September, and we also will be getting monthly bills for services that are rendered by Johnson Rosati, which have decreased quite a bit in the last couple of months. And there's always the potential of other legal issues that will crop up between now and the end of the fiscal year. Obviously, one of those things that we have to discuss later in closed session is the arbitration decision that has a potential financial impact on the township that we'll be reviewing with legal counsel. And that 300,000 is a guesstimate. Last year, we had to revise that budget in the last month to account for increased legal bills that took place the last quarter of the fiscal year. And so while that number may be high, it will minimize the need to have to come back to the board on a periodic basis to revise the number. And we have seen a decrease in the estimated bills that we will be receiving over the course of the next couple of weeks from Mr. Plato, where there's a nice downtrend in expenditures, and hopefully we'll see that trend continue when the supervisor brings forth his proposed budget for next year for our consideration next month.
We really do want to get these under control. And of course, we want to protect our interests of our town, but we want to do what's right and make sure that we're making right decisions and having the right legal counsel and get these under control. And I think we're all in agreement on that, so, and especially the whole board. Any other discussion on this? Okay. If so, then motion to approve the budget amendments, cost centers 210 and 265 for fiscal year 2012 and 2013. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could suggest, we had pulled consent agenda item 6B from the agenda, and I had suggested we make it item 7D1. In light of the planned closed sessions later in the meeting, could we defer that item until after the last public comment? Plan to recess anyway, and that way Mr. Plato can review those minutes during the recess, so we can officially approve those before we go into closed session.
On what item?
7D1, the minutes of the closed session.
Okay.
So we'll just hold that off until after public comment.
All right. So we are at any no board discussion. So I guess we're ready for public comment. Any other public comment? Carl?
Yeah, I'm sure you have somebody from the township monitoring the new operation on the corner of 6 Mile and Chubb Road. I'd just like to request that you could have a progress report, that somebody could come before us, for this board at a future meeting, and tell us what's going on there, and when they're gonna finish it up, and how they're getting along. If any of you haven't seen it, it looks like a gigantic mining operation and a new landfill. And I suppose they're doing what the planning commission authorized, but I'd still like to hear a progress report from whoever's monitoring that.
Is that Kalo? Is that?
I don't know, it's on the corner.
Is that the Kalo construction, I think it is?
It's on the corner of 6 Mile Chubb.
Yes, it is.
Kalo Trucking.
It's K-Well Trucking.
All right. We will get you some information on that. Thanks, Carl. Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Barb McCabe. I was deputy clerk here for 6 years, and just very happy that there's a new board in Salem and a new start, and I think it's a great thing for Salem. And as being one of the people affected by the 457. I'm hoping that you guys will consider having some dialogue with the people affected by that in the future, and just appreciate your consideration for that. Thanks.
Thanks, Barb. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Gary, before you guys do anything drastic on that 457, I think you ought to look at the reasons why the old board went to a lawyer. And why it was covered up in the last election and all that kind of stuff. You ought to take all that into consideration before you do some voting on it. You know, who lied, who covered it up, and that kind of stuff. And that's why the board went after it. You should check that out.
Okay, thanks, O'Neill. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Larry Petrosky. Chief Rockwell tonight gave us a report on the dispersal of the fire equipment, which is a great idea, and very supportive of that. But we also are aware of the fact that there was some use of those vehicles in the past that wasn't appropriate. My question tonight is, are we keeping some kind of log for use of those vehicles to make sure that this dispersed use is appropriate, meaning they're not used for personal purposes? Also, are we keeping a log so we know exactly who's using those vehicles, and are they, you talked about an authorized group of individuals that would be operating those vehicles in the future. I think it's important, just as important as we are in trusting the assets of the community in this fashion, which again I agree is very important. We also track that in a way that makes sure those assets are used appropriately. And I think there's probably a way to manage that without a lot of additional record keeping, but making sure that those vehicles are being used by appropriate parties within the community. So that's an effective use of that for the future. So, and I don't know if that is so much a public record, but something that's reviewed by the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do, and I would like to meet with you or get you some information on that, which I believe our chief has, and just our procedures and our policies, just to anybody in the public that wants them to make sure that these things are followed. And this board is behind this, and we'll make sure. And of course, we do want to know if there is misuse or whatever, but we want to be on top of that. It's to protect the public, period. Thank you. Anyone else? Brian.
I would just like to say two things, and just being on the old board, just to respond a couple to the comments here. One, Mr. Muirhead, I agree the 457 needs to be looked into, but to say that people lied and covered it up, there were only 7 of us on the board plus our attorney that really had any information. If you had information that people lied and covered it up, then somebody leaked information.
Well, I believe they covered it up, Brian.
Well, okay.
Big time.
But again, that's your.
And I think you know about it.
Again, that's your opinion.
Everything I see is my opinion, Brian. But I think you know I'm right too.
Anyway,
When a man owes money, Brian, pay it back. Don't hide.
Mr. Supervisor, I believe.
Thank you.
Comments like that it was lied and covered up. I think you guys.
Brian, you make comments like that all the time when you're on board.
You have all the information in front of you. You guys have full access to Mr. Plato, so you know that. Again, I agree with this gentleman that we need logs for the fire department trucks. Mr. Rockwell has done a great job getting those in. Chief Rockwell has done a great job making sure those are implemented and followed. However, to say that we had misuse, which was the first part of his statement, prior to that, it was alleged misuse. We paid over $15,000 for a forensic audit, and that basically got shoved under the rug before this board took office, which anybody can FOIA. The original summary is there. It found no misuse of anything. So that information is out there again. I agree, all these policies and procedures are great, but to start out statements by saying people lied, covered it up, people had misuse of the fire trucks, it's just wrong. Just wrong. This board just needs to look past all of that and do what they're doing. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks, Brian.
If I may, a comment in my own defense. We're recorded, Mr. Whitaker recommended that the community keep their eyes open to make sure that vehicles are using appropriately. And there were certainly times when vehicles were seen. I'm sure there were residents community come forward So this isn't on a speculative nature that I offer these comments. It's a matter of making sure we're using prudent controls and that the community is aware of how vehicles are being used. So it's really not a speculative approach in which I make my comments. It's because there are people that have come forth and talked about vehicles in inappropriate locations. So I'm using as good evidence as I possibly can, not having information that's privy only to maybe the fire department or the people. Thank you.
Okay. Just a quick follow-up and then I'll come on.
Share it.
Because that kind of thing right there is, people have come forward and said inappropriate locations. Meyer is not inappropriate. So Southland Kroger is not inappropriate. That truck can go all the way down to the farthest part of Washtenaw County for mutual aid, and that's not inappropriate. So, I mean, if it's at
But Brian, when you're buying groceries for yourself, it's a different story.
No, it's not. No,
So, again, this board is doing a great job understanding that and keeping it under control. I just don't want this board to start getting tainted by residents saying it was lied and covered up, it was inappropriate places. It's sorry.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could briefly respond to some of the concerns here. When I reviewed the policies, the new policies the board passed, I was naturally concerned from a liability standpoint for the township about those vehicles being put into personal use. And I think there are sufficient safeguards put into the policy as far as logs being kept on the vehicles, fire chief having control over who uses those and having to approve who uses those, that I'm satisfied that the township is protected from liability, and I'm satisfied that there are checks and balances in the new policies that there won't be misuse of those vehicles.
I'm not gonna talk about the vehicles, but I am gonna talk about as a citizen now who is still interested in the township and wants to take an active approach and needs to learn what's going on and keep abreast of what's going on in the township, that when you look at the website, which is not up to date, and then when I call the township, and the example, because I called the clerk, and it was answered, and the clerk wasn't in, and was answered that this is David Trent, clerk of Salem Township. And then when the voicemail came on, it was I don't know who's in charge of any of that, but that's a little frustrating to have people come up to me also, and I have nothing to do with the website anymore. But there are problems with the website, and I'm hoping we spent a lot of money on it as a last board to have the IT or whatever come in, so keep working on that, all right? Thank you.
We are, and just so you know, and it's not my job up here to criticize what's happened in the past or whatever, but all I can ask you for is a little bit of time, and it's been just about really a month since we have taken office. There's been the holidays involved, and to be honest with you, the technical stuff that this township has paid for, which is really in extreme, in excess money that have spent that this town really doesn't need, but it's very difficult to understand and learn, especially for someone like me. But even the tech people have been here. No, I'm just listen to me. I'm just saying, you're asking me a question, I'm answering you. So it's been very difficult to learn some of the stuff that the township has put in here. So we are learning. The website is just about done, if not, should be done this week, and try to get it update and them things in order. As far as the phones, I never seen such complicated phones, and calling them in, and the amount of money that they want, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it just, but anyway, we are working on it. Just give us a little bit of time. I would say probably by our next board meeting where that things should be up to date, but thanks for your comments.
No, I just didn't know if that
Yeah, we're still working on getting the right passcodes, so I can even get into the system and...
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that, so I...
No, but it's getting better, and thank you for your patience. Appreciate it. Yes, absolutely.
TJ and I are working on the newsletter, and we're hoping to get it out by the last week of this month. So if you have anything that you would like us to put in there, I'm looking at a deadline of January 15th, which is Tuesday, for submission. So then we have, another 4 or 5 days to work with all that. So you can email either of us, at the Township website if you have stuff you'd like to put in there.
We're excited about that.
Yeah.
May I ask a
Yes.
question? So the Historic Society usually has something in.
Correct, and
Right,
I've
we
been
would
in
like
touch
that
with Carrie.
information.
so-
And when would the mailing date, because we aren't gonna put anything like about Thursday's thing, but the annual dinner,
Right, I want to have it sent to the printer the following week.
so it would be
So
out
by like-
February.
Well, I'd like to have it in your mailbox by no later than the end of this month.
I'll let,
But I need submissions by a week from tonight,
right,
essentially.
I'll let.
So just email me and send me everything you got.
Okay, anybody else? All right. Dale?
Mr. Supervisor, I move we recess for, till 8:10 to allow Mr. Plato to review the closed session minutes, and then we can take care of that issue and then formally go into closed session after that.
All right.
I would suggest it's a good time for a coffee break.
Coffee break, network.
I have a little different take on it. How that could be handled, but still accomplish the same objective.
Okay.
No, I shouldn't have said writers, I should have said
Gary, I'd like to make a motion. Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion.
Gary's fine.
That's it. That we approve the closed session meeting minutes that were pulled from the consent agenda earlier. And I could get a second.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, do we need to roll call on this? That, or are we fine with this?
For the, not to approve the minutes.
Okay, approve the minutes, all those in favor, saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Okay, Mr. Converse.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that Salem Township Board of Trustees go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15-.268E to discuss the pending litigation on the following later matters with the attorney David Greco and insurance company legal counsel.
Thank you for that, take a roll call.
Okay, we can recall on that.
We need a second on that.
And a second?
Support.
All right. Daniel?
Yep.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Wensley, yes. Converse?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
And Whitaker.
Yes.
Is Mr. Trent going to recuse himself as part of that motion?
So we can have some more coffee.